Today we're going to look at how you can build a self-grading quiz using Google Forms. To begin with, you want to start in Google Drive and you're going to go to New, More, and Google Forms. This is going to create a Google form for us. I always start with giving my form a title, so I'm going to click up here where it says Untitled Form, and I'm going to call this one Sample Quiz. When I change this title here, it will, once it saves, automatically change this title here for me. And then I can start adding questions. Google Forms quizzes works only with the multiple choice checks boxes and drop down choices for questions. So you can only have those three kinds of choices self-grading. You can add in other types of questions, but you would have to go in and grade those in order to score them. So I'm going to add a question here. What color? And then I'm going to give some choices. Now, once I have my question in there, I need to be able to work on the answer key, which would usually show up here, but it's not showing up. So let me show you how to get that to show up. You go over to the settings, to the gear, and in this menu here, you choose quizzes, and you have to make this a quiz. And I have some choices here. My first choice is how I want students to see the grade. I can immediately allow them to see how they scored after they submit it, or I can do this later after a manual review. So I would want to do this later after manual review if I have some long answers that I need to review myself. I'm going to allow it immediately. The other choice that I have is what the respondent can see. So do I want them to see the questions that they missed? Do I want them to see the correct answers? Do I want them to see the point values? A check mark means they will be able to see these items. I want them to see the missed questions, but I don't necessarily want them to see the correct answer. So I'm going to uncheck correct answers. And then I'm going to click Save. Now, when I click on my question so that I can edit it, you'll see that in this lower left corner, I have an answer key option. So if I click here, it will change my screen so that I can select one of the choices as the answer. So I want blue to be the answer. I can select multiple answers. So if they select blue or green, they would get it right. I don't want them to have green, so I'm going to uncheck it. I can edit the number of points. So I'm going to have this one be worth 1 point. Another thing I can do is add answer feedback. And I have two choices here. What do they get if they get the answer incorrect, or what do they get if they get the answer correct? So if they get it incorrect, I want them to see So I'm going to point them to a specific place that they can review for the information so that they can get the correct answer. And then if they get the correct answer, I'm going to put good job. Now that I have all of that information, I'm going to go back to edit the question. Now, the reason that I did all of that right now, instead of going back and doing it later after I've built the whole test, is that I want to be able to copy my answer feedback. So instead of having to put answer feedback for every question, I can build the answer feedback on one question and then copy that question, and now the answer feedback will be there for every question that I've made. So to copy this question, I'm going to click on the copy button, which is this button right here, and it will exactly copy that question. Notice that it copies the question, it copies the answer, and it will also copy the answer feedback. So I'm going to change this to what color is the grass, and I want the answer to change. So I'm going to need to go to the answer key, and I need to unclick blue and click green. But notice that my answer feedback is here. So if I need to change the chapter that they're going to look at in their science book, I can, but it's the same chapter, so I don't need to. I'm just going to go back to edit the question, and now it's ready. My students, I will send this Google form to them either in their email. I can attach it to a Google Classroom assignment. I can give them the link to follow. Once they get this form, they will see something that looks like this, and then they can take it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to pick blue for both of them. So I've submitted my response. I can view my score, and you can see that I got this question correct. Feedback, great. I got this one wrong, and here's my feedback. That was not correct. Please review. So I can go back and review that information. When I look back at my form, I can look at the responses my students submitted. Google will automatically give me a summary of responses. I will see how all of my students did on the whole test, and then I can see a breakdown by question down below. I can also look at individual student responses in here. One thing I noticed is that I didn't ask for the name, so I don't know who submitted this response to me. So I think I'm going to go back to my questions and add a short response that says name. I'm going to keep it worth 0, make sure it's required. That way when my students answer it, I will know who answered what, and I can use that information also. There you have it, a simple self-grading quiz using Google Forms.